Good morning all. Waking up to a beautiful winter wonderland out there. And this week's video plan is to paint the red maple tree on one of these kind of medium-ish size panels. They're, I think, 12 by 16. So that is this week's video plan. We'll see how far we get. But first, before we jump into it, here's a quick introduction in case you're wondering who I am and what this channel is all about. Hi there, I'm Stacy, the encaustic mixed media artist behind Studio Stacy. Encaustic literally means to burn in. So I paint with beeswax and a torch, and because it's mixed media, pretty much anything else I can get my hands on. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Consider subscribing and joining this artsy community. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, which helps me get introduced to more like-minded artsy folks like yourself. All right, and a couple of videos ago, I kind of finalized the red maple tree sketch, which is what this is. I sketched out the red maple tree bark itself, the colors I want to use for the bark, and I picked out the background colors. Just as a quick refresher that that is kind of already done. I also leaf printed the red maple tree leaves, and that's the size panel that I'm going to be using. So first things first, we're going to do the background in these 4 colors. Alright, all, step 1 for this background is done. I have all, what was that, 4 colors down, I believe? 3 colors? Anyways, I have all the colors down on the background, and the next step is to grunge it up just a bit. So time-lapse mode for you all. Oh, I should mention, and I know I've mentioned this a billion times in other videos, but you saw me mix in some encaustic medium with the Encausticose paint. Hopefully you kind of caught that in some of the videos. And that is because you can extend that paint with encaustic medium. I always like to mention that so that if you're an encaustic painter or beginner kind of encaustic painter and you don't realize this, extend your store-bought encausticos and RNF paints out with encaustic medium. It really kind of stretches that paint out. So at any rate, background is done. First couple layers on this background is done, and we are moving on to the grunging it up part. Alright all, this portion is done. Moving on to embedding the leaves next. And then the background I think will be done for now. But first, let's cut some of those leaf printed images. Alright all, I am calling it for today in the studio. I will flip the camera around and show you the result of this background so far. Need to run out and get some words printed, so I will pick you back up hopefully tomorrow. See you then. Morning all, back in the studio, and today's plan is to get the red maple tree traced onto some tenguchu paper and then embedded into this background that I finished yesterday. And then from there we'll see what time it is and how much time I have left here in the studio today. So let's get to tracing this red maple tree onto the tenguchu. I've got the wax turned on, heating up, and yeah, should be a lovely day here in the studio. All right, all, the tree is fully embedded into the background, and I think what I'm gonna do today, the rest of the day, is just get the studio cleaned up, and then I need to do some computer work this afternoon. So for now, I'm just gonna get the studio cleaned up, the things that I don't need going forward with this painting put away, so that then tomorrow the plan is to come back in here and finish this painting, but that way everything will be ready to go. So I'm gonna get like the griddle, like the paint from the background all cleaned up, all of this stuff, and then yeah, we will pick you up tomorrow. See you then. Morning all. It is a beautiful winter wonderland out there again this morning. Huge, big, fluffy flakes. I know a lot of you are probably completely ready for spring, but I am clinging on to these last couple of days of winter here with all my might. I just love this time of year and winter. It is going to be warming up soon, so for those of you ready for spring, it's coming, don't worry. At any rate, didn't jump on here to talk about the weather, jumped on here because in today's video, or today's studio session rather, I am planning on finishing this maple tree painting. So I've got the griddles on, the encaustic medium's heating up, the griddle is heating up for the encaustic paint, and I'm ready to start putting some paint colors down. I'll flip the camera around here and show you real quick. All right, in a previous video, you saw me kind of sketch and work out the colors for the tree bark on this, and that's what this is. So I've got 3 different grays out. These 2 are very similar, just regular drip tray, leftover wax, gray colors. I have a black. This is a pewter gray from Earth Pigments that I've mixed up. And then I've got this brown, which you can see better on here versus in the plastic there. That is Burnt Umber by R&F. In case you're wondering about the colors. So that's what I'm going to be using for this. And I think I'll probably get out the Encaustic Writer, Encaustic Kistka too, and get that plugged in and heated up while I'm doing these larger portions here. The electric Kistka can get heated up, and yeah. All right, here we go. Let's paint. All right, I think this is ready for me to put down some words and for the little tiny encaustic writer tool. But before I kind of jump into that, and I should say this is not called an encaustic writing tool, this is an electric kistka. It's meant for Ukrainian eggs. I always get kind of questions and comments about it, so that's what it is. I do also have it hooked up to a temperature regulator, and any tool that doesn't have a temperature dial on it that I can turn up or down, doesn't have to be an exact temperature, but just something that I can turn up and down, I have to plug into an electric temperature regulator, which then has a dial on it that I can turn up and down. And I just happen to know that this works best at about 75% with this particular tool. So just thought I would mention that, because again, I get questions on that pretty frequently. So anyways, the reason I picked up the camera though is I wanted to mention, you may have seen in the time lapse me wiping the brush off on this paper towel. And let me flip the camera around and kind of explain what I was wiping off here, other than paint. All right, another question I get asked pretty frequently is what I clean my brushes with. And this is, if I can zoom in here, I think it's camera's focusing, is by R&F, and it's soy wax. It's just pure soy wax. It's also called brush cleaner, but it's soy wax. And let me put the camera down so I can show you. And it comes in these like really tiny little, like they're not even pellets, they're flakes. That's what they are, they're flakes. It comes in these tiny little flakes. So that, let me hold 1 second again. Okay, and you can either just like sprinkle the flakes onto the griddle and kind of dab the paintbrush into those flakes to clean it off, and then wipe it off with a paper towel. But what I do is I have a separate tin, which is very, very dirty, as you can see, because I've been cleaning brushes off in it. But I just put some flakes in there, melt it down, and it lasts a pretty long time, even though it's filthy dirty. Now I need to change it, but it lasts a long time. It doesn't, you can use it even when it's like somewhat dirty. So basically I was dipping the brushes into that and then wiping them off on this paper towel. And I think, yeah, here's a good example. So when I first did it, it was the soy wax was kind of a bluish color, because previously I must have been cleaning off some blue paint brushes. So, but now it's quite black. So it needs changed again. But it, you know, I just wanted to mention that soy wax is what I use to clean the brushes off with. I should also mention that a lot goes a long way. So I've had this bag for, I don't know, probably over a year. So you don't need a lot to clean the brushes. But and if you have any questions ever about what the heck are you doing there, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer anything and everything. And if you happen to know about the minute mark on the video where you're asking the question or wondering about the thing, that always helps, because sometimes I have to kind of guess as to what your question means as far as how the video goes, if that makes sense. Not necessary, but the whole point is I'm happy to answer any questions if any pop up during the video. All right, now back to this painting. But before I can get out the paint and start painting this tree, I need to at first do an image transfer of these words. So just going to do that here real quick first. And once the words are down, we can get going on actually painting the tree. right all. I believe this one is done. I'll flip the camera around here and get you some close-ups, but I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, it's one more tree painting done. And like I said, I think they're all really unique. So I'm liking this series a lot. I'm enjoying painting them, and I'm really enjoying how they're coming out. So one more painting done. I am going to leave this mess out. The studio is a disaster, but it is, again, like around 2 o'clock. I keep making it a habit of skipping over lunch. So I'm gonna go grab some lunch and call it for today in the studio, and probably call it for this video. I don't know if we're gonna be, if I'll take you along on any adventures we go on this weekend. Not adventures, anything that we might be doing rather this next couple days or so. I'm not sure, but this is the end of the painting portion. So if you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help me out. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Got more painting videos coming your way next week. See you on Tuesday, and thank you again for joining me. Bye for now.